Hello and welcome to this presentation. We are going to take a look at Edmentum Courseware, which is our online course platform. My name is Mark Radcliffe. I'm an implementation specialist with Edmentum. So I use Courseware literally on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here talking you through the features. I'm going to show you how Courseware is a very flexible solution, how it's easy to use for both instructors and learners, and how it provides instructors and educators with a wealth of data that allows them to adjust the decisions that they make on a day-to-day basis. So it is an online course platform. So the first thing that's worth talking about is what courses are available. We have several hundred courses. Generally speaking, a course is a semester's worth of content. So we'll just kind of quickly walk you through these. The main library that's very commonly used is our core library. This contains all the courses that a learner generally would need to graduate. So these are 6th grade and up, all the cores, as well as courses like health, phys ed, pieces like that a student would need to gain a diploma. We also have our CTE library, which is great for providing career and tech education credit, but also great for career-oriented elective courses. We have our World Languages course, our electives library, and then also our AP courses. We also have a series of college and career readiness courses too, things like GED prep, ACT prep, and so forth. But let's jump right over into the actual Courseware platform itself. That's where we'll spend most of our time today. So here what I'm looking at is the student side of the application. So this is a student that's logged in and what the student would see. We try to keep things as simple and plain as possible. So you can see here that this particular student has a series of courses they're enrolled in: Algebra 1, World History, US History, and so on. They have a series of alerts over here on the right-hand side. We'll take a look at those in just a couple of minutes. And then I just want to point out to you that right after login, there's some information given to the student. It shows how much progress they've made in a particular course, what the last item was that they worked on, and when they worked on it. Now, what I can do as a student is if I were to hit this continue button right here, this would take me right back into this particular section of the particular activity that I had been working on either earlier in the day or the day before. So students don't need to really do anything or worry about their progress. The platform takes care of it for them. This particular one is a teacher-graded activity. I'm partway through working on it, so it takes me to the part that I was last working on when I was last here. Now I'll come back to teacher-graded activities here in just a couple of moments. So I just clicked save and exit there. It brought me right back to my home screen. Instead of going to continue, I'm going to go to all activities. This will give us a good layout of what courses look like within the Courseware platform. So what you'll see is some initial items in terms of we have student orientation, a syllabus, and so forth. But here the main items I want to point out are the units and how the units are structured. See, this particular course has 5 units. When I open up Unit 1, what I get on the student side is a nice sort of tile-based layout, nice and clear for the student to understand. And you'll notice that there's some color coding for these tiles as well. For example, this particular item down here, this post-test, is gray. That means the student has not started working on it yet. Blue items are items that students have started working on but not completed. And then green are items that they've completed. So a nice color coding system. The main item, the main question that every student has is, what do I have to do to be done? So when a student comes to me and asks me, what do I have to do to be done? I can point them right back to Courseware and say, have you completed everything? Is everything green? That way we know you've completed the course. And then we can talk about grades, and we'll kind of cover those pieces here in just a couple of moments. Now, in addition, you might notice some items. I've completed this pre-test here, and I received 70%. And then you'll see that there are some blue stars with white E's in them on a couple of my tiles, or 3 of my tiles in this case. These are items that I've been exempted from. If you choose, you can have students use the pre-test as a way to test out of items. If they answer enough questions correct on a given topic, then they will be exempted from that topic when they come out of the pre-test. However, Courseware is very flexible, very customizable, so that can be an educated decision on whether you want to use that exemption or not. Now here I have an item that I've not completed yet. Interpreting expressions. This is what Courseware calls a module. You might hear me refer to them as topics or lessons. Essentially, this is the actual instructional component itself. So I'm just going to select this tile to open it up, get a kind of feel for what this looks like. Let's just briefly talk about the assessment structure inside of a Courseware course. First of all, we already talked about the pre-test. The student will take that at the beginning of a unit. We're now also seeing the mastery test And at the end of the unit here, we're seeing a post-test. Now, in addition to that, you don't see it on this screen, but just below the screen, if I were to scroll down, there's also an end of semester test as well. So the students are going to complete the pre-tests. That will allow exemption if you choose. They complete the mastery test to show mastery of a single topic, and then the post-test at the end of the unit and also at the end of the course. These are summative assessments that cover the topics in that particular unit or in the entire course. So the end of semester exam is essentially like a final. Now, anytime you see the word test, these are graded by the computer. These are computer-graded tests. In addition to that, we also have teacher-graded items, our discussions, and then our unit activities. You may also sometimes see course activities. These are open-ended projects, essays, that kind of thing, that are designed to be graded by a subject matter expert. They come with rubrics, answer keys, and so forth. So when you use the combination of our computer and teacher-graded assessments, you get a nice, fully rounded, robust assessment system. You can be confident knowing that a student has completed and mastered a course. Now let's go into the actual instruction itself. What I like to do in these instances, I like to go somewhere in the middle of the course. So I'll open, let's say I go into Unit 2, and I'll select a tutorial somewhere for in the middle of the unit. That way I'm not, getting preamble lessons, those types of things that might feature early in the course. I'm going to turn my volume down just a little bit here. Now, the way that we build our tutorials, our lessons, there are three main components that go into our instructional design. Number one is that we present the curriculum directly to the student. So we saw a short introduction there. We have a title and a goal for, an objective for this particular lesson. And then I get to a piece of the actual instruction itself. Notice we present the curriculum. We don't have a instructor or anything along those lines. We present the curriculum directly to the student. Therefore, they can connect more directly with the content. So that's item one. Item two, as you may have noticed, is I'm progressing a little bit at a time. I'm currently on page 5 of 28. We give the students a little bit of information at a time. Incremental allows them to focus, and it also requires them to actually engage with the platform in order to advance. They have to actually click something. This keeps them more engaged and also allows us to provide more data on the tracking side as well. I have an initial warm-up here. There's a little bit of reading. We do have professional narration for the text within the lessons. In addition, these tools down here on the left-hand side, there are several tools in here. One of them is a click-to-speak option, allows the student to select a specific sentence, have that sentence read aloud. This is more for students with visual impairment, reading difficulties, those types of pieces. Consider this an adaptive tool rather than the professional narration, which you'll find on the text as well. So I got an initial warm-up here. And then this brings about the third part of our instructional design, is that it's multimodal. So you saw that we had some initial introductions, then we had a little bit of reading. Now we have a short multimedia presentation. This one just under 3 minutes. So we don't create a situation where a student can just hit play and check out of a lesson. They need to actually be active and engaged in order to progress. Short video, then we've got some additional reading, another piece of multimedia, in this case, an example. I'm looking at algebra in this particular course, so we're seeing a real-world example. And then, usually, part way into the lesson, maybe every third of the lesson or so, the mode will shift again, and the students are required to do some sort of interactive activity. In this case, got a real-world example where the students are going to solve a problem. So our tutorials are granular. They give the student a little bit of information at a time. They present the curriculum directly, and they're also multimodal. Now, when I come back to my homepage, you'll see right here that unit at the creating systems of equations and inequalities I was working on is now color-coded blue. And if I were to go back to my homepage, it will show me what I just worked on. And if I hit continue, it will take me right back into that tutorial on the page that I left off. So the student will work through the tutorials, those computer-graded assessments, and then usually once per unit, sometimes you'll see a project that runs throughout an entire course. The student will have these teacher-graded activities. These are submitted right through the platform. Student will be given the rubric, the guidelines, especially if it's a multi-step problem that they're trying to solve in the case of something like math. And then they can submit to their teacher for either feedback or for final scoring. And the teacher can provide them comments right within the platform. That way we can create a dialogue at the actual instructional level between student and teacher. Students can submit text, they can submit files, they can also record their own voice as part of their submissions as well. Now, when we look at the actual curriculum that's built, this would be our self-directed piece in terms of students are going to be working on the computers, working on those lessons and so on. We also have what we call our collaboration tool. If I jump back to my homepage here, you'll find over on the right-hand side, I have an alert here. It says you have been added to a collaboration. Now, in addition to our curriculum and that self-guided piece, we also have a live meeting tool available that can be used by teachers and learners. And what this does is it gives you a live meeting space where an instructor can meet with their learners either one-on-one or as a group. This tool provides you with an interactive whiteboard. It allows you to share videos, documents, have chat sessions. This would be your live instructional tool that a teacher can use alongside of our curriculum, provide things like office hours, one-on-one tutoring, and so forth. Now, I had talked as we were looking through the course about how our courses are customizable. So let's take a moment to flip over to the teacher side. We've been looking at the student side so far. Let's flip over to the teacher side, and I'll show you that we can create some customized courses that would work just with, with my students. This can be done by teachers at the school itself. And what we're looking at here is our custom course builder. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you could customize Edmentum content, and it really depends upon the application. We have a few different tools. But the best way to think about it is you think about this biology course. I have Biology Semester A. It's got 6 units in here. We also just have a collection, a toolbox of biology lessons. I may want to assign a single lesson to a student, or I may want to assign a course that has my own customized scope and sequence. We have different tools available that allow you to do that. For example, our Flex Assignment tool allows quick ad hoc assigning of just a few lessons, maybe for remediation, reinforcement, something along those lines. Here I'm looking at our custom course tool. So what I'm looking at right now is on the left-hand side, I have Edmentum's biology course as it comes to you out of the box. On the right-hand side is my customized course. And I can literally just drag and drop content from one to the other. And if I open up, say, a unit, here I've got some items. Well, maybe I'm going to be doing this discussion face-to-face with my students. So I'm just going to delete that one out. I'll use that prompt. We'll have a face-to-face discussion. I also teach a slightly different scope and sequence. I'm going to do introduction myself. So this what is biology module, I'm just going to remove that. When I do that, if you recall, we have pre and post tests. So here I've got a pre-test, and at the end of this unit, I have a post-test. Now that I've removed that topic from this unit, those pre and post tests have been updated automatically to not have questions about that particular topic. And this is true as far as your imagination goes. So if I were to come in here and create, say, an additional unit, and here I have my unit 3, let's say, and I'll take some topics from my unit 2. Maybe I just want to resequence this course so I can move topics over. And then I can simply generate pre and post tests for that unit. These will all automatically be generated. I can even take that one step further. Let's say I select mathematics courses and I go into my Algebra 2 and I select a lesson from there, drag it over, drop it in. That pre and post test will also update to contain questions from that module, which is from an entirely different course. So this is limited by your imagination. You can customize to create full courses. You can do anything from a single lesson. You can also add in some of your own content, such as your own discussions, your own graded projects, links to websites, and so forth. So, process would be if you wanted to have a customized course, you create that customized course. It would look to your student no different than one of our courses out of the box. They wouldn't know any difference at all. They would progress through the course. And then, of course, the next piece that we need to look at is how is that information reported back to the educator and reported back to the administration. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to go to my teacher dashboard here. And what I'm looking at is my landing page for Courseware when I come in as a teacher. And I've got a couple of courses, a couple of sections of algebra here. So here's my Algebra 1 course. I have section 1 and I have section 2. And what I'm seeing here, the difference between the two of them, is my section 1 is a paced course and my section 2 is an unpaced course. So if you notice for section 2, there is no end date, whereas I have a specific end date for section 1. I can assign start and end dates for individual sections, or I can do it per student. If I choose to do that, Courseware will build out a pacing structure for me. And these emblems right here denote how many students are far behind, on pace, or ahead of pace. This is all built out based upon the dates that I choose and the activities that are in my out-of-the-box course or my customized course. In addition to that, I have some actionable items here. These are things that we would go into in detail when you were to go through training, but essentially they're actions that a teacher needs to perform. It may be grading, it may be that a student is stuck on a particular activity, items along those lines. Now let's take a little bit more detail. I'm going to go into my Algebra 1 section, and here I see all of my students. I can see my students that are behind on and ahead of pace. And then in addition, I can see things like the student's current grade, the grade if they were to walk away from the course right now, how much time they've spent in the course, and if I have any actionable items for that particular student. I can then go into any given student and go right down to their individual activity level and see how they're doing on all of their activities. This particular student, Maria, obviously is behind pace, so I could come up here, send her a message, or if I'm working in a face-to-face environment, I have some data here to support a conversation that I would have with Maria. Now, this is going down to the individual student level, looking at their individual activities, their individual pacing. As students start to complete courses, I'm going to start issuing them grades and issuing them credit. So if I take a look at my Earth and Space Science course here, I'm going to just bring up the gradebook for this particular course. And what the gradebook allows me to do is take all of the scoring from all of those computer and teacher graded assessments, weight them in a manner of my choosing, have them totaled up, and then I can determine what a student's final grade is, and also if I want to issue them credit. So a couple of examples here. You'll see that Samantha, she has the time she spent in the system. Not doing so well so far, whereas Maria, she's up at a C. If she had completed the entire course, I could come in and award her credit. So this little ribbon right here, if I come to Maria, select her, and I can grant her credit, that essentially documents that she has completed the course. Now, she's not completed all the activities yet. I know that because I can see the dashes here in the grade book. Those are items that she's not completed. I could also see that back on that initial progress screen. Now, as the teachers are completing the finalization of their courses, awarding credit, we have reports on the administrative side that communicate that information back to building level administration. In K-12, go to the guidance office, those types of pieces to say, Maria went through a course, she completed all of her required activities, she got a grade that meets the minimum requirements of the school, here's her grade, here's the credit, and therefore that can be documented and she can work towards her diploma. So that completes the process of courseware. You can create your course assignments either using our out-of-the-box courses or you can customize them. Students will then complete them using that simple, easy-to-use interface, working through those engaging lessons and completing the computer and teacher graded assessments. Teachers can then complete grading, override grading, calculate final grades, and issue credit to the students. And then finally, that will be communicated to the administration. So Courseware gives you a full rounded experience that would allow a student to do anything from complete a single reinforcement lesson online all the way through to completing their entire high school career online, completing a diploma program, and getting prepped for college or careers. Thanks for watching this presentation. If you have any additional questions, you can visit us at www.edmentum.com. We hope to see you online.